Okay. And the way you check these is you ask a question and you ask yourself, is -3 less than 0? You go to this first inequality, and that's my question to you. Is -3 less than 0?
Yes.
It is. So this one is true in the case of -3. So you use the x, like you treat the function as if it's x. Okay, so in this case it would just be -3. All right, but what if I asked you about f of 2? Okay, so you go back to your inequalities and start here. Is 2 less than 0? Is 2 less than 0?
It's 2 less than 0? No.
That is not true, so that's false. Now we hope that the next one is true. Is 2 greater than 0?
No. Yeah, I mean, yes.
Yes, so 2 is greater than 0. Now this is the function that we're looking at, x squared, okay? So you square the x value. What is 2 squared?
2 squared, it's 4.
4, very good, okay? So let's look at, let me make another one up here. Trying to make a little more room here on this page. Come on. Wow. All right, let me do it another way. So insert space. All right. There it is. Okay. So here's a new function that we're going to look at here. Let's say f of x equals 2 plus 3x 4 minus 5x. And this one's good for x less than or equal to 1. This one is good for x greater than 1. All right. So let's start with f of 0. F of 0. So you go to the inequalities and you ask yourself the question, is that number in parentheses 0, is 0 less than or equal to 1?
0 less than or equal. It's less than.
So is this true or false? Basically, is it true or false, this first one?
True.
It is true. So you put that 0 into this first piece. 2 plus 3 times 0. What would that equal?
What?
I'm asking you to calculate this. 2 plus 3 times 0. We're putting 0 into this function up here.
Okay, so it would be 5.
But order of operations, right? You multiply before you add.
Okay, so 2 times 0 is 0.
No, 3 times 0. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. 2 plus 3 times 0. You do the multiplication first.
Okay, so 3 times 0 is 0.
Okay, so this becomes 2 plus 0, and what is the result of that?
2.
2. Very good. Now, what if I asked you for, and I'm just going to make a little space here. Let's say I asked you for f of 1. F of 1. So again, same question. Is 1, you're putting 1 in for x, is 1 less than or equal to 1? Is that true or is that false?
True.
It is true. So which function do we use? The top part or the bottom part?
Top part.
The top part. So this is 2 plus 3 times 1.
So that's 3.
So certainly 3 times 1 is 3, but what about the rest of it? You have to multiply before you add.
That's what I did. I multiplied 1 by 3.
Okay, and then you've got to add 2 to that.
So it's 2 plus 3.
Very good. And that's
yeah, it's 5.
5 total. Okay. So we're gonna really quick do some order of operations stuff. Just I've got some concerns here that maybe it's not clear. So let me give you a problem here to look at. Then we'll come back to some piecewise stuff. Okay, so order of operations here, PEMDAS, right? You've heard that in class. You see that over and over again. When you're simplifying, you go left to right, okay? Which means you do multiplication before division and then addition and subtraction. So in this problem here, what will you do first? The multiplication, addition, or the subtraction?
Multiplication, subtraction. You do PEMDAS, that's parentheses. There's no parentheses, so we do, what's the E?
Exponents, there's no exponents.
All right, so it's multiplication.
Okay, so what two numbers are you going to multiply here?
2 times 10.
Okay, so that's 20. Bring the other stuff down. Okay, now you've got addition and subtraction.
Okay, yeah, we have both of them.
Okay, so which do you do first in terms of PEMDAS?
20 plus 10.
So that's 30 minus 8.
All right, and 30 minus 8 is that's 22.
22. Okay. So let me have you try one more of these before we move on to a couple of other questions. All right, here we go. This one's not too bad. So order of operations, these are more complicated than what we're doing, but it's good to remind yourself, like you just said, you do parentheses first. There's no parentheses. There's no exponents, multiplication, and then division. Okay, so do you see multiplication and division in this?
Oh yeah, there's no parentheses, no no. So there is a division.
There is, yeah. Okay, so but there is multiplication as well. So which should we do first, multiplication or the division?
Whichever's first.
Okay, well, what I'm asking you, I mean, I already know the answer.
Oh,
So
it's it's 18.
you're going to take 18 and divide by 2, but isn't there a multiplication that comes before that? 2 times 18? Or doesn't, maybe it doesn't matter. So
Doesn't matter.
yeah, the answer is it doesn't matter. So what is 18 divided by 2?
Huh?
Are you able to hear me? Feel like maybe the connection isn't very good
No,
tonight.
I'm just very tired.
Okay, 18 divided by 2. 18 divided by 2.
Oh, that's 9.
It's 9. Yeah.
I wasn't even looking at this. We already wrote it down.
Okay. And then we're going to bring down the other stuff. So 14 plus 9 times 18 minus 7. So again, order of operations, which do we do first? Addition, multiplication, or subtraction?
Let's do the multiplication next.
Okay. All right, so I'll help here. 9 times 18 is 108. All right, why don't you finish this off for us, please, and give me the the correct answer.
That's 115.
It is 115. Very good. All right, so our brief diversion into piecewise onto order of operations is over. We're going to go back to piecewise functions. Okay, so here's another piecewise function. The way it's read is you actually read it. You say f of x equals, give the first one 2x plus 1 if x is less than 1, and then you give the second function minus 2x plus 3 if x is greater than or equal to 1. But again, what I'm interested tonight in is just you evaluating the function. So basically, I just want to know which one are you going to use, the top or the bottom for f of 0. And again, you go to that first inequality and decide if it's a true statement or not.
Oh, so could you repeat that?
Sure. Yeah, I'm asking you to evaluate this function. So is 0, does it go into the first one or the second one? And you decide based on the inequality over here. Is
I
0
think it goes into the second one.
So here's what you're telling me. 0 is greater than or equal to 1. Is that true or is that false?
Not greater.
So is 0 less than 1?
Yes.
Yes. So that means you're going to use the first one 2 times 0 plus 1.
So that's
What is the result of that?
what?
It is 1. Okay. Now, what is f of 1? Basically, you have to decide which of these you're going to use. And you ask yourself the question, is 1 less than 1, or is 1 greater than or equal to 1? I didn't hear you say.
I think it's the first one. I was stuttering.
Yeah, so we're asking, is 1 less than 1? And it's kind of an oddity, like why would you even write that? But let's try the other one. Is 1 greater than or equal to 1? So this right here tells us the answer. The equal.
Yes.
Yes. The second one is a yes. The first one is a no. All right. So now you're going to put 1 into the second function. -2 times 1 plus 3.
What?
-2
Sorry,
times.
could you repeat that? You're stuttering.
I'm asking you to evaluate what's on the screen.
All right. So
-2 times 1 plus 3.
-2 plus 1. Let me grab my calculator. -2. It's 1.
It is 1, positive 1. Very good. Can you evaluate f of 2 for me, please?
Okay, so it's 2 greater than 1.
Yeah, are you using the, you got to decide first one or the second one?
Second one.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
Okay. The answer is -1.
So -2 times 2 plus 3, it is definitely -1. All right, very good. Okay, so you're getting the hang of this. Let's have you try this one a little bit more on your own here. Let's start out with f of -1. Just tell me which one you're going to use, the top or the bottom, and why.
Second one.
Okay, so here's what you're telling me. -1 is greater than -1. Is that true? So they are exactly equal. They are exactly equal. So the top one.
Well, there's no
-1
equal option.
So this line right here underneath means equal.
So why doesn't they just show the equal sign?
That's a good question. So that maybe that is something we should review real quick. I don't make these rules. These are just the math rules. So this symbol right here means less than. Okay, and if you add the line underneath, it means less than or equal to. Have you seen this before?
Yeah.
Okay. So there is equality. Okay, there is equality, and you will see that in another example we do. But for now, if it's got the line underneath, you have to know that that means with the line underneath, that's the part that's the equal to. So the next symbol here is greater than, or equal to. All right. So if we go back to the problem I'm asking you to work on here, the one that the line underneath, you look at that, you have to associate that little line underneath as an equality. So in this case, -1 less than or equal to -1, that is true. That is the true one. All right, so what does that mean if it's just x? Do you recall what that tells you? terms of like what action you have to take.
Yeah,
So what is the output here?
so it's one,
The input is negative
one,
one.
one parentheses, -1.
Yes, like this. That would be okay.
Plus
Yeah.
4.
Well, no, we're using the top one,
Oh,
right? So it's just the top one. So it's just the -1.
yeah, it's just -1.
Yeah. Okay, how
Great.
about f of 0? F of 0, which one are we using? The top or
The top one.
Okay, so again, here's what you're telling me. 0 is less than or equal to -1. On a number line, let's say 0 is there.
It's the bottom one. It's the bottom one.
It is the bottom one. Okay, and in some ways it's like which one is more to the right? You know, the more to the right are the larger numbers. So what is -0 plus 4? Can
It's just
0
4.
be? Yeah, it's just 4. Good. All right, last one here. F of 2 for this. F of 2.
It's the bottom one.
Okay, so put 2 in for x in the bottom one and tell me the result.
It's just 2.
You got it. -2 plus 4 equals 2. Good. So right when you think you've got it, I put a little wrinkle in, little modification here. So here's a new question for us to look at. So you can actually have more than 2 pieces. You know, you made a cake. You could look at the entire cake as being one piece, or when you cut it up, there's obviously more than one piece. Okay. So what you're doing when you're evaluating this is you're deciding which piece am I using, which piece is true. Okay. So again, let's start out very simple here. -3, and you just go through each of these inequalities and you ask yourself, is it true? Is -3 less than or equal to -2? Or in other words, is -3 left of -2?
So is
So here's -2 on the number line.
negative.
Go ahead.
And so you ask me if it's like greater than 3, -3.
Well, I'm asking if it's true. Is -3 less than or equal to -2? Or in other words, is it left? Is -3
It's
left?
less than. It's less than 2.
So the first one is true. So we're going to use the first one here. Okay. So that's where you're going to put -3 in for x.
So
So we're using this top piece here, and putting -3 in for x.
-4.
Yes. Okay. Okay, now let's look at the next one here. F of 1. F of 1. So start with the first piece. Is 1 less than or equal to -2?
What?
Is 1 less than or equal to -2?
It's greater than.
Okay, so this one's false. Let's go to the next one. Is 1 between -2 and 4?
Yes.
It is. So we're going to use this middle function here. So I want you to put in this middle function, I want you to put 1 in for x in that middle function.
Oh, so do I write 2 parentheses 1?
Yes.
It's 1.
There's 1. All right. And now let's do f of 5. F of 5.
I think we're running out of time.
I'm sorry.
I think we're running out of time.
I think we can get this one. We'll get this last one in here. So
Yeah,
is 5 less than or equal to -2?
I think it's the last one.
It is the last one. So I want you to evaluate it for 5, please.
Okay, negative. And it's -7.
It is -7. Very good. All right. Well, I think you did great tonight.